Well, we're here. What, a year and a half of waiting for the next Marvel Studios project to drop, and we got it. Disney Plus is about to blow up, if The Mandalorian already hasn't blown it up for it. WandaVision. We got 2 episodes that came out. I think they're good. I think they're really good. We're going to be doing weekly reviews of WandaVision because this is a show I'm very excited to talk about. There's something unique and visceral and interesting and creative, actually creative, about this show. I have said it before. I have been very mediocre, lukewarm, I would say, on the past few years of Marvel Cinematic Universe content. I don't know when the last one I really enjoyed was. Maybe Doctor Strange. like really liked, enjoyed thoroughly, that I think is perfect. I think that was the last one. But here with WandaVision, I'm like, this is brilliant. So we got 2 episodes to talk about. We'll start with the first one. I do want to say about the first episode, this to me is the better of the 2. I think episode 1 was perfect in every regards of the words. I think the tone, the setting, the atmosphere it created was perfectly summed up and utilized to its best effect. And I don't think they are ever going to recapture the magic they did in that first episode in this season. I don't think they can. You've already shown what you're doing. I don't know if you can live up to that first episode. I hope you do, but I don't know. So this is pretty much just a restart for the character of Wanda Maximoff. Now, we don't know how she's here, what's going on in this world, but she just got married to this beautiful little robot named Vision, and they moved to this new place called Westview. And you know what? They're having the grandest time of their life. You know, they're newlyweds, they got a new house. Vision's working for a corporation, doing a job. She's a stay-at-home wife, just doing her thing, having fun. It is a 1950s, 1960s era sitcom, and it is fucking amazing that they captured it so well. Now, I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to offend some people while I say this. I think there are some younger people out there. I'm a young guy myself, but I do think there are some younger people out there who are going to see this first episode and not understand what it's doing. And to those people, I'm going to tell you, this is the Dick Van Dyke Show. This is Bewitched. This is a sitcom before you were born, perfectly summarized in that sense of style, humor, and atmosphere. The 4:3 aspect ratio is a big deal to me. The kind of like lackluster grain in terms of the camera movements where it wasn't in high definition and you felt that. The way the effects looked too, it wasn't this clear-cut CGI we use today. The effects had that style of the 60s, just the little flare of the camera whenever one of them uses their powers. It's awesome. It is really awesome the way this show presented itself in that regard. I think it was incredibly well done. I'm so impressed they managed to pull that feat off because it could have been shitty. Now, you young people, if you don't know what these are, please watch old sitcoms because they tell us a lot about the future of comedy, a lot about the future of actors and comedians that come before it, and they're just genuinely good. There's a lot of fun stuff in here that I think you will really enjoy, and WandaVision is just exemplifying that energy. It's hey, you remember this? You remember when we used to worry about our bosses coming over for dinner? Here's a whole episode about that. We literally have a whole episode of a Marvel series set in the style of a 1950s sitcom. Vision is the working hard husband, and his boss is coming over for dinner, but his wife didn't know that, so now they have to struggle to make dinner. That is a classic trope, and it works so well because it's a trope. When you're trying to homage something, you do the tropes, and it worked really well. I gotta say, the tension in this episode was great. The laugh track really added that extra oomph to it. If it didn't have the laugh track, it wouldn't work as well. I think some people are going to be like, well, what is this? What does this have to do with the Marvel Universe? Well, we'll find out later. It's 9 episodes. Just enjoy this first one and see what it's trying to do here. I think that's really cool. I gotta give props to Elizabeth Olsen for doing something really good as Wanda. She really just figured out that style, the I Dream of Jeannie style, that Bewitched style of stuff, where she's just talking a little over extravagantly, but she's making it work really well. I think it's really cool, just the way that this world, she's familiar with it, but you see the cracks seeping through of the stuff she doesn't know. What day are they celebrating? Why is there a heart on their calendar? Was this their anniversary? Is it their wedding day? Why don't they have rings? Where did they meet? Where is she from? Those kind of things are That's great, but we don't really explore them that much here. There's kind of things that they have to like figure out for themselves as they're doing this story. I think that's really cool. I gotta give huge props to Paul Bettany, because his performance in this first episode was spectacular. He was just the right kind of manic, crazy 50s man trying to impress his boss, trying to look cool and suave at the same time, while not really sure who he is. Like, there's just some small moments where you just see him, like, trying to tell people, no, I'm not a robot, man. I don't have a computer in my brain. The way he plays that is just so sincere and fun. It's incredibly interesting. I think it's fantastic stuff. I really loved this first episode. Everything about it. The commercial break. What a brilliant idea that I'm so glad they introduced. The idea that, oh, look, here's a Stark Industries toaster that will toast your bread best for you. And you're like, that's awesome. You got the time, do it, have some fun energy with that. And if you want any more proof that this is a sitcom, Fred Malamed and Deborah Jo Rupp are in this. Like, the two classic staples of modern sitcoms and past sitcoms. Like, these people are important for the genre, and we got them in here, and it's great. I love it so much. It's just so clean and cute. You'll get everything about it that works really well. Like, just the idea of the kind of like the loose energy where it's like, oh, we can't open the kitchen because Wanda's using her powers, and if like the wife sees that, we'll have to say something silly. So Vision starts singing Yakety Yak, which I'm like, Paul, you son of a bitch. That's great. You really captured that energy. I just love the way. That was probably actually like one of my favorite moments of the entire show so far. And there's only been 2 episodes, of course. But just like the way, trying to like protect his wife's secret, the way that Vision just goes into yakety yak, and just like the slow, don't talk back, just so quietly and just like looking away dismissive. I'm like, that is brilliant. I really love that. Even the way the camera moves, where you could just tell it's like, oh, it's supposed to be like a set. So you can't have like the single camera idea where it can follow you anywhere. I thought that was really fun, really interesting. Catherine Hahn's introduced as Agnes, the nosy neighbor, another cliche character or troped character in sitcoms of any generation. There's always that character. She's brilliant. I love the way she knows exactly what's going on, and you get that feeling like, oh, she's the one that understands what's going on in the world. But she's trying to show Wanda what's going on too. Like, this is weird. Like, where are you guys from? How'd you meet? What are you celebrating? You got to control your man kind of feel. And I think that's a really interesting idea that it's presenting. It's really fun. It's really fun. Now, the entire first episode is the classic sitcom trope, and it's really cool that way until you get towards the end when they're having dinner, and then like reality suddenly starts to snap apart because you see that Fred Malamed is choking on a piece of his dinner. And suddenly it just gets like this weird, intense situational thing where it's like, help him. And you just see like Vision needs to help him. And it's there when Wanda kind of like breaks the facade of what they're doing and she starts to talk normally. And it's pretty cool. I'm just like, that's really intense. Like every joke feels very of the time it's going for. Throwing the lobster out the window, it's coming attached to the door again. Just like the excessive bacon, like you're using your powers too much. You convert the turkey back into like eggs. I'm like, that's brilliant. That's fun. Do more of that. I don't understand how you get more than one egg because I think it comes from one egg, but whatever. I mean, great for me. I think it's great. It's really fun and really interesting. I can't believe we got this. I'm really impressed with it. I really did think this first episode, the music, the sets, the aspect ratio, the grain on the film itself, the acting, the characters, it worked really well. And as soon as like you see like the veil drop, we kind of pull back and we see like it's being on a monitor that people are watching, and you're like, that's fun. That's great. I'm so happy that we're seeing that. It's just really, really fascinating. And it's also too, they end every episode of like, oh, I'm trying to do it here, like the triangle that pans back and you just like say your goodbye. That's really classic too. This first episode was great. That tension it built up towards at the end really solidified what the show is going for. It had this intense feel, but also very sitcom, very classic. You just really felt something cool there. So I really liked it, and it was a half hour. You even got the you even got the commercial in there. So I'm like, perfect. If every episode's like this, I'm great with that. Cut to episode 2. We've kind of moved forward a little bit in time. Our camera's looking a little better. We got bigger sets, bigger character beats. We can dress a little more modern and provocative, as you see in some of the aspects of this episode. And it was really fun. I love the way that they just kind of like started off this episode 2. They're in 2 separate beds. There's a knock outside. Wanda gets scared. She pushes the beds closer together, and then suddenly they're in the same bed. And I'm like, that's really fun because, yeah, this was about the time We're starting to see husband and wife sleep in the same bed, like they're having fun. They could get a little bit frisky with each other. Like, let's see that. Let's have fun in that aspect too. So I really enjoyed that. That was fun. Something I didn't bring up when talking about the first episode, I'm going to bring up here, is the way that this show handles the theme song. So the first episode, it's just like, you're like, the newlyweds are driving down the block to their house. But in this one, episode 2, it's Bewitched. It's Bewitched. It's literally just like that animation style, that kind of style. The song sounds like it. It's perfect. So cool. It's just so cool. Please watch Bewitched. I love Bewitched. It's so fun. Go watch it. I love it. I talk about sitcoms on my channel too. I've done some Geek Wave episodes where I've talked about modern sitcoms, and I think I'm just going to keep backtracking until we get to like the 50s and stuff. But I'll digress from that. The crux of this episode was there is kind of like a neighborhood watch for Vision that he wants to go figure out, like the noise that's ruffling outside. What's that all going to be relating to? But Wanda is also going to be part of like this neighborhood community of women who are put on together like a talent show thing for the children. And you're like, that's pretty vague, but I like it. And this is kind of where like we start to see like the cracks fall through again. Wanda finds this red helicopter in there, and that's like the one thing about this show too, is like only the red can start to seep through in these early episodes. Like there's the beeper on the toaster, there's the helicopter, that kind of stuff. It's pretty interesting. I'm really liking it. So this idea too is that Wanda and Vision are going to do a magic act, and that's going to be like their big thing for like the talent show for the community to raise money and stuff. And it's pretty fun. It's kind of cute. You get some stuff here. We're introduced to a lot of characters. We're introduced to Dottie, which is such a classic name. I love the name Dottie. Your classic blonde housewife type. Agnes is kind of like the drunk, fun aunt character. And I'm like, that's cool. Do more of that, please. I like it a lot. And I'm pretty sure this woman we meet is the one who is Monica Rambeau. Now, I'm not sure. I can't remember if that's who the actress is, but we're introduced to this woman who calls herself Genevieve, I think, and she doesn't really remember her name or who she is or anything, so she's just kind of like fit into this thing and figure out what's going on there. I thought that was pretty cool. We start to see some more cracks breaking through as like Wanda is talking to Dottie, and suddenly, like the radio starts like, Wanda, can you hear me? Just like calling out to her, and there's like some glass that breaks in Dottie's hand and there's blood and the blood's red. You're like, okay, we're seeping through some cracks here. Wanda's still trying to figure out something weird's going on, but she doesn't really know what it is. And then we kind of go to like the big magic show, but before that, Vision has his neighborhood watch meeting. He eats a stick of gum, but he gets caught in like his gears and stuff, so it makes him drunk. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Again, giving Paul Bettany something really creative and really interesting to do that I don't think we were expecting. I really liked that. It was so fun. Oh, such a good idea. So they go to do their magic act. Vision, of course, is drunk out of his mind, and he's using his actual powers on like his flight, his super strength, his ability to phase through things. You're just like, this is really fun. So it's Wanda who's trying to make it look like it's part of the act the entire time. That's brilliant. That's brilliant because it's just so cute. It's like, yeah, of course. That is what would happen in the 60s. That is the kind of sitcom we would have with a character like Wanda Maximoff. It's awesome. I'm so happy we got this show. Like, oh man. It's cool to like something Marvel. Because I've just like, TV is the future. I've said this talking about things like Stargirl and Doom Patrol. The future is television for serialized storytelling with superheroes because comic books are long lasting. You can't do a 2-hour movie and expect to get everything about the character. You do stuff like this, you're getting a lot of interesting storytelling. I like it a lot. Paul is just getting so much to do. Even Elizabeth was getting a lot to do in this episode. It was really fun, really engaging. I highly recommend checking out the show. It was just so cool. So they go back to their home. You're like, oh, what a long day. We were beat, blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff. And reality starts to seep through because Wanda is pregnant now. Like, she's suddenly pregnant. You're like, okay, I guess we're starting a family. I wonder what's going on there. And as she's seeing all around that, all of a sudden, things go into color. And we are set in more of like the 70s and 80s style of sitcoms. There's a little more color, a little more fascinating endeavors going on here. But they're still in love and still happy, and you're having a good time. And they see that the noise outside that they've been hearing is that of this like beekeeper guy who's coming out of the sewers to do something. He's wearing a sword logo. So you're like, methinks something might be happening there. I'm very intrigued to see what that could be. Now, I do believe we also get some interesting reference in this commercial, in this episode, to a long character that we haven't really seen before. And that, of course, is Baron von Strucker, because Strucker watches There's Always Time for You. And you're like, is that a reference to Hydra returning? But not even Hydra, just Strucker? I think it might be. So, it's fun, man. It's cool. You know, like, okay, we did the 50s, we did the 60s. We're going to move to the ones people probably recognize now. Like the young people who don't watch stuff, you might be able to get these. Your Brady Bunches, your Cheers probably, your Roseannes, that kind of stuff. That's pretty fun. It's also really exciting to see. So she's pregnant. We're going to see the kids eventually. Vision's still being great. Paul Bettany's getting so much to do. And the cracks are starting to seep through later in this second episode, which is really cool. Now, I don't think it's as strong as the first episode, just because that first episode was a tight 30 minutes. It's like, here's our sitcom situation, here's the weird actions, here's the weird laugh track, here's our characters having fun, here's the tension building to this moment where this man is dying. That was cool. The second episode, a little more loose, a little more energetic. It doesn't hold the same weight, but I'm still like, you're giving Paul Bettany so much to do as Vision that it's really cool, and I highly recommend checking it out. I'm glad we're here. I'm really glad this is the first one they launched with, because it was Falcon or Winter Soldier, I'd probably be like, I get it. But this one, oh yeah, give me more of this, please. I'll take this in droves. I don't need them to be 40-minute episodes. 30-minute episodes of this, I'll watch it all day, every day, and it's going to be really cool. It's very enjoyable, and I think a lot of people are going to like it. So that is my review of the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. Of course, we will be back next week to talk about episode 3, and hopefully we'll just keep going with these Marvel, Disney Plus like reviews, right into Falcon Winter Soldier, right into Loki. Take a little break, and just enjoy ourselves. It's great. The MCU is back. WandaVision is great. The characters are as great as ever. And please go watch Bewitch. Go watch I Dream of Jeannie. Go watch a sitcom you haven't seen before. Not The Office. Not Friends. Go watch something pre-1980s and enjoy yourself, okay? It's worth your time. Thanks for watching. But seriously, thanks for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.